In this last video, I talked about strategies and tools for recovery. And in that video, I talked about the fact that there is a part of you that has the capacity for wisdom. And that part of you has the capacity for what I call supervision, the capacity to spot patterns that are keeping you stuck. If you're watching this video, you probably have some appreciation of the fact that the mind can influence the body. Our mind can literally activate the fight, flight, freeze response. It can also activate the shutdown response. And in those modes, fight, flight, freeze or shutdown, the body is not in a healing state. The brain is signaling that there is danger and the body is in a state of alarm because it thinks that there is an emergency situation to deal with. So it's really important that we spot these patterns and train our mind to respond differently. This is going to change our brain. This is the concept of neuroplasticity. Whatever we practice, we get good at. So in this video with Dr. Elanor Stein, I took people through a guided relaxation, which is all about connecting to the wise self, to that wise part of you. So I will link that video below with the timestamp so you can watch that video. People did give me great feedback. They said they found it really helpful. So I encourage you to check that video out. So let's look at some of the patterns that can keep us stuck, that can hinder the body's healing. These patterns are signs that we're in a state of fear, or we're running what I call the fear operating system. These strategies are an attempt to keep us safe, but they are limiting us because they're not helping the body heal. So I'm going to share about 9 patterns. Comment below which ones you recognize applicable to you. The good news is we can rewire our responses and we can create feelings of safety, the sense that it is safe to relax, let go. So I talked about some of these patterns already in the last video, so do check out that video. So perfectionism is one of the patterns that can keep us stuck, because when we are trying to achieve perfection, we're squeezing the joy out of life. We have this sense and this belief that we're not good enough. This puts the body in a state of stress. I worked once with a woman who was a film director, and she recognized that she was a perfectionist. And even when her bosses were saying, "You've done a good enough job," she still wasn't happy. But she learned strategies to deal with the perfectionism. And she was able to recognize when she did a good enough job. And she did say to me, "I'm a much happier person now. And I'm actually a nicer boss," because she used to be pretty critical of her team. So next is the all or nothing pattern. This is when we can be very enthusiastic to begin with. Let's say someone's learning brain training techniques. They're full of enthusiasm, but as soon as they hit a hurdle or things get a little bit difficult, they get discouraged. They might get jaded. I've worked with people who've said, I've tried everything. I remember watching this video and this chap was talking about that pattern. And he said, if someone says to me, "I've tried everything," I say to them, "I don't think you have tried everything." And they kind of react slightly. And he said, "Well, have you tried the Chinese moss that you find in the foothills of a remote mountain in the such and such province?" And they say, "No, I haven't tried that." He said, "Okay, so it's not true that you've tried everything, is it?" One of the problems with all or nothing thinking is we can overestimate what we can do in the short term and underestimate what we can do in the long term. So actually, an antidote for all or nothing is to take small steps, but to make sure we're consistent. Because it's better, for instance, to meditate for 1 minute every day for a year than to try and meditate for an hour today and then give up tomorrow because you found it too difficult. Okay? If you do the former, you're going to spend more minutes meditating. Okay? So next thing, and this is something I was really good at when I had MECFS, is body checking. So for example, this is something I would do, and lots of clients have said that they do it. They'd wake up in the morning, and the first thing they do, they check their body. They'd notice some symptoms, and they'd then go, oh no, more of the same. All right. I actually had the experience on a number of occasions where I woke up, and for a few seconds, maybe half a minute, maybe a minute sometimes, I was just completely relaxed. My body was completely relaxed. And actually, I wasn't noticing any symptoms or sensations in my body. But then my brain would kick in, or my mind would kick in, and I'd start thinking about symptoms. And it was if I flicked a switch, I would just feel these symptoms emerging. It was as if they were waking up. So one simple strategy for that, which a client of mine adopted, was to interrupt that pattern by just saying a lot of power words to herself. So she'd say out loud or in her head, peace, calm, love, trust, compassion, patience, pragmatism. And she'd do this for a while, and it was a way of just interrupting the pattern. I remember on a couple of occasions going to the doctor. One time I noticed a vein in my finger, and I was seeing the doctor anyway, and I said, look, just want to ask you about this. And she said, oh, that's just normal, Another time I had a blemish on my skin, and again I checked with the doctor, and the doctor said, that's just normal. Okay. I remember on another occasion I could feel this pain in my leg, and I was thinking, oh no, another ME symptom. And then I realised I'd banged my leg and it was a bruise. Another pattern that is common is overthinking, trying to figure things out. For instance, if you get symptoms, asking why have I got these symptoms? Now, can be useful to have some brief reflection and maybe recognise, okay, yeah, I was experiencing some stress, or I did overdo it a bit. And we don't want to over focus on that, because again, that's just going to activate the fight flight response. Okay, so the solution to overthinking, trying to figure things out, is acceptance. You've done your best to make sense of the situation, and now we just need to accept where we are. The next thing, again, this was something I did a lot when I had ME, it was talking about symptoms. And I recognised that my hope was that someone would share some insight that would help me. But I remember on one occasion, a member of my family saying to me, look, every time we speak on the phone, you just start talking about symptoms, and it's a bit boring. And I kind of took the point and realised it wasn't very interesting for them. And another thing I do when I went to ME support meetings is someone would ask me how I was, and I would launch into, oh yeah, well, this is how I'm feeling. And, about 10 people would ask me that question, and I'd answer that question 10 times. I remember on one occasion, 3 Australian women were staying with me in the house that I was in, and we were having breakfast, and it could have been a really nice time. And this woman said, how are you doing? And I said, actually, I didn't sleep very well, and now my back's aching. And I kind of went into this explanation of what was going on. And she was this young woman, and she said, look, I've had some health challenges. And she'd had some fairly major surgery. And she said, one of the things I learned is that it's not useful to dwell on my symptoms. And again, I kind of took that on board, and I took her point. And I recognised that actually, if I just had allowed myself to relax, there was 3 of us having breakfast, we could have just had a fun time. I would have started to feel more relaxed, and that would have put my body in the parasympathetic healing state. So it's just something to watch out for. Of course, if you've got MECFS, I'm appreciative of the fact that you're looking for answers. But we've got to be strategic in terms of who we talk about our symptoms to. It might be useful to just share something, if you're in a coaching session, or if you've got a mentor or a buddy where you just allow each other to just offload for a few minutes, but then you focus on, okay, what positive action are we going to take? So the next pattern is trying to control everything, trying to micromanage everything. I remember someone telling me they went on holiday And they were trying to work out which was the best table to have breakfast at. Because if they were sitting at the best table, they'd be more relaxed, they'd be more happy, and maybe that would help them heal. Okay? The solution to that is that we need to, again, learn to relax and let go. Because when we do that, healing happens. So the next pattern is what I call holding your breath. So this is when we're in a hurry. When we're in a hurry, we tend not to breathe naturally. So for example, because I had a belief that my energy would run out, for instance, if I was cooking dinner, I would be doing everything in a hurry. And actually that was just depleting my energy more quickly. And again, I realised I needed to just do things in a more slow, mindful way. And that was going to support my healing. And in the strategies and tools video, I shared why it's really important to recognise what beliefs we have around our energy. Next pattern is indecision. So this is when we get into shall I, shan't I? So for example, shall I go out, do that thing, shall I not? I spent a lot of energy trying to make decisions. And in fact, it would have been better to just make a decision one way or the other. Maybe to go out and just enjoy it, or decide not to go out and enjoy my time at home, maybe putting some fuel in the tank by just relaxing, letting go. I remember a client saying that she spent so much time trying to decide what to wear, by the time she tried out different outfits, she was exhausted. Okay? So, as I say, the antidote is to make a decision and be okay with our decision. The other thing that people can get into is the overachiever pattern. This can be related to perfectionism. The overachiever tries to get it all done at once. Again, learning to take a more paced approach is more helpful. So let me know in the comments which of those patterns you recognise, and maybe there are other patterns that you recognise that you're doing that are putting your body in the sympathetic fight, flight, freeze response, or putting you in shutdown mode. Okay, so let me know. So I want to share 3 tips. First tip, commit to being a resilience builder. Number 2, practice connecting to that part of you that is wise. That part of you's shown up many times in your life where you've responded in resourceful ways. And spot the patterns. Once you've spotted the patterns, consider the antidote. What's a more resourceful way of responding? So if you found this video useful, do subscribe, hit the notification button, and you'll be notified when I release a new video. I have lots of free videos on my channel, so check out the playlists. If you want more tips, do join my Facebook group, link below. If you want to go faster, then you're welcome to have a free half-hour chat. In that chat, we'll explore what you need. I offer group coaching. I also offer a course called Building Resilience. This is a 12-week course that takes people step by step through the 9 areas that I think people need to help them close the gap between where they are and their goals. So if you've got any questions, get in touch. Thanks for watching. Keep going. You've got this. Wishing you great health. Bye for now.